Hello and welcome back to another episode of 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about these Tennessee Vols versus the South Carolina Gamecocks in our college football game day preview, it's our host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
Hey, what's going on, Jeremiah? Happy Monday to all of our viewers out there. Ready to talk some SEC football with the Gamecocks and Volunteers. It's going to be a good one, man. I'm ready to talk about it.
Absolutely. And I actually got to spend a little time in South Carolina near Greenville. So, not quite exactly in anybody's, backyard, but pretty close. And I was having a lot of fun talking to people about the Gamecocks and what they think will happen in this game and comparing notes from last game where the Gamecocks had, some interesting things that went on with their game. And then the Tennessee Vols had some things that went right with their game. So this game I'm pretty excited for as a Vols fan for a long time. Well, I've been there through the big rivalries we've had back in the day. I actually was down on campus quite a few times during the home games for Tennessee, South Carolina games, especially a few times when I was playing a mascot, and I was doing mascot work for quite a while. And I was dressed for this one brand, and it's a brand whose mascot, it's not South Carolina, but it's a brand of wine, and their mascot is a giant rooster. So they've got me down on campus walking around dressed as a giant rooster on game day in Tennessee versus the Gamecocks. And people are like, it's the game. Everybody just thought that I was the Gamecocks mascot walking around town and all tailgates. So as you can imagine with a sea of orange, sometimes I had some people who were excited to see me. And oftentimes I had people who were not so excited to see the Gamecocks people just running around down there. So after a while, they actually put me in a giant UT shirt to try to be like, no, I'm a pro Vols chicken, So I was like, I'm a giant rooster, but I love the Vols. And so, yeah, I have had some great experiences during game days with the Gamecocks and the Volunteers. So without further ado, I'm excited, and I hope you can tell I'm excited. All everybody watching, make sure you love love everything we're doing. Subscribe to our channel, listen to our podcast, and Mr. Logan Landers, tell us, what do we have to look forward to for the Gamecocks and the Volunteers?
Yeah, so I'm going to start off with the visiting team, the South Carolina Gamecocks. They're going to be playing on October the 9th at 12 o'clock. They're going into Tennessee. It's going to be It's going to be a battle for them, Jeremiah. They got to go to Tennessee, got to go to Neyland, and they got to try and get a tough win. So we'll see what they can do. But last week, they looked pretty good. They faced off against the Troy Trojans. Got the win in that one, 23-14. I would have liked to see a little bit more of a better margin. But nonetheless, they came away with the win, putting them at currently a 3-2 record, looking pretty solid on the season. Luke Doty, the quarterback, did a good job, 20 of 34, 255 passing yards, and a touchdown. So he looked good on that end. For the running game, they couldn't really get a whole lot going, only 102 yards as a team throughout the entire day. So not a whole lot going on there, neither with the receiving game either. No wide receivers got over 50 yards. But the real reason that that South Carolina won this game was because of their defense. And also they got lucky because they fumbled the ball quite a lot. They had 5 fumbles as a team. They recovered 2 of those. So they lost 3 of 5 fumbles. You can't go into Tennessee with that many turnovers and expect to win. They've got to clean that up. And that's the reason that game was so close against Troy. But for their defense, they really helped lead the way. Jalen Foster, tremendous day, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 12 tackles total, looking solid. 2 sacks on the day as a team and 5 tackles for losses for the Gamecocks. But you got to think that defense has got to be a little bit more prepared, more ready. They got to get after the quarterback a little bit more and get some more tackles for losses in the backfield, get to the quarterback some more, maybe get a sack or 2 extra. But other than that, they look good. 2 interceptions on the day, including a big pick 6 from David Spalding, a 74-yard return that helped kind of clinch it in the end. So they look good. So they got the win against Troy. They had a few miscues. There's some things they can definitely improve on, and I think they will. Quarterback play was solid. The receiving game and the rushing game, not too much to speak about. But I think that if you can get past those turnover ratios and how they were able to get 5 fumbles. The quarterback, Luke Doty, had 2 fumbles on the day, led the way. You can't have that as your quarterback. I get that you got one of them back, but you just can't have that. So I think that if South Carolina wants to beat Tennessee, they got to clean up the turnovers. They got to play a little bit better, get a little bit more offense in them as well. Because with barely over 100 yards rushing and the passing and the receiving game not having a whole lot, not really one guy you throw to for a bunch of yards, I think that Tennessee's defense is going to be well prepared. And they saw last week, man, they got those Butterfingers, so they're going to be going after them this week and trying to rip that ball away. But let's go over to the Vols. What did the Vols do last week? Well, man, they put on a show on offense, on defense. They beat the Missouri Tigers by a score of 62-24. Absolute domination, something I didn't see happening. I had it being a little bit closer. I certainly not expecting them to put up 60. But, man, the Vols offense, the defense, everything you want to talk about was clicking this past week. They looked tremendous. Hendon Hooker, the quarterback, did a phenomenal job, Jeremiah. 15 of 19, 225 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown on the day, too. So he looked absolutely great. One of the best games he's ever had, I'm sure. Also, big props to Tion Evans. 15 carries, 156 yards rushing, and 3 touchdowns, with the longest being 92 yards. So he looked absolutely great. You love to see that. They ran the ball for 458 yards as a team on almost 60 carries. So they were just absolutely lighting up that Missouri Tigers defense, and they looked great. So South Carolina definitely needs to prepare for that. Last week they gave up 155 yards rushing to Troy, and with Tennessee, coming off of a huge week, getting pretty much close to 500 yards rushing, you definitely got to think that something big's going to happen with that Tennessee offense, and that they're going to put up a lot of points, and they're going to run the ball a ton. Also for the receiving core, Velus Jones did a good job on the day. He led the way with 7 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown. Cedric Tillman got another touchdown on the day. So they are looking phenomenal. No fumbles from the Vols. They look great on that end. No interceptions as well. So they had a clean game in comparison to Tennessee. They looked great. The defense looked good as well. Gave up only 24 points throughout the entire game. Aaron Beasley led the way with 8 tackles. They only had 1 sack, which I thought they'd need to get to the quarterback a little bit more. So that's kind of what these two teams have in common coming into their matchup this upcoming Saturday, is who's going to get more pressure on the quarterback. Tennessee had 1 sack. South Carolina only had that 1 sack on the day as well, or 2 sacks on the day. So who's going to get that advantage? It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Tennessee had 2 interceptions. Jeremy Banks had 1, and Jalen McCullough. So both of those guys are definitely going to be ball hawks, trying to get in that rhythm and get an interception off of Dottie. But coming into Saturday, these two teams, they're coming in. They both won last week. They got a little bit of momentum. They both have the same record. They are 3-2 on the year in an SEC matchup. Tennessee is the heavy favorite, and I got to stick with them. The Vols have a better team, I think, after that dominant performance against Missouri. How can you not pick them to win this week? I think that Hendon Hooker is going to have a great year. He's done good so far. 10 touchdowns, only 1 interception. So he's looked phenomenal. Last week was really a breakout game for me. Tion Evans is looking phenomenal as well. And I think if you're South Carolina, the big thing when I'm looking at this game is the points per game. Tennessee scores almost 40 points a game. Meanwhile, South Carolina is only at about the 22, 23 range. So that is telling me that the South Carolina offense, it's there, but the Tennessee Vols is just on a different level. They put up almost 150 more yards per game as well, does Tennessee. And the rushing, and for the defense, they're not too far different. Tennessee gives up 339 yards, and South Carolina only gives up 300. So they're around the same range when it comes to defense. But in the end, I got the offense for the Vols just coming out a little bit better in the end. And if I had to get a final score, Jeremiah, I'm going to keep the Tennessee Vols getting the win in this one, like I said. But for the score, I'll go with Tennessee 42, and I'll go South Carolina 14. I think this one's going to be a big win for the Vols, and I got them winning and getting another win in that win column, man. Looking good, and I think they're going to move to 4-2 on the season.
Well, I definitely want to see that. So, Yeah, let's see those Vols come out. Let's see them be as dominant as they were the last time. I'm honestly loving what the quarterback's doing. I wanted to see, Harrison Bailey, get some time in there. Last season we felt pretty strongly about what he was going to do, and he's still a great kid, and he's still working hard, and he's doing his thing to get ready for when it is his time. But man, Hooker is killing it, man. And so I am cool with that. I like that score. And I was wondering, everybody watching, tell us what do you think the final score will be between the Gamecocks and the Vols. I'd like to see them run up the score again. So for me personally, as much as I love my Gamecocks fans, for us Vols, I'd like us to see us run away with it in the second half. That's always my best time to see us run away with it. If we run away with it in the first half, I'm always scared we're going to come sleeping on the second half. So in the second half, I want to see us run away with it. I want to see us have a great day. And I want everybody to come down to Neyland Stadium and experience what it's like to be there with 100,000 plus people. I think we're at 106,000, something like that. Yeah, it's a big stadium. I believe we're still the third largest stadium in the country. And I think that it's going to be a really great day to be a Vol. So if you're watching, tell us what you think. And if you're listening, then tell us what you think as well. Over on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, everybody who's watching us, we really appreciate it. All of your shares and telling your friends and family about our show, especially word of mouth, just telling them about 100 Yards of Football has been really helpful with us to grow so quickly this year. And if you're listening to our podcast, thank you again. But if you're not, jump and listen to our podcast. Just grab your Spotify app or your Apple podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts, and just look up 100 Yards of Football. You'll see our 50-yard line picture there. We're sponsored by the Believe Podcast Network, bringing you quality, amazing podcast every single week. We drop a new podcast pretty much every day. And guess what? We don't just do game previews. We also do interviews with legendary players. We also have history specials where we break down some of the classic games, and we just talk the amazing sport of football all through the year. So you're going to love what we've got going on. We also have hundreds of back episodes that are all about the amazing players that have incredible interviews and just great times. We have some great information. So grab that podcast, listen to us on your way to work in the morning, listen to us while you're, at work, or if you work from home, and then listen to us on your way home. Or if you're an Uber driver or a truck driver or someone who listens to podcasts a lot, then put us on when you're driving around and enjoy us, and we'll keep you company throughout your day. So without further ado, Van, thank you so much, Mr. Landers, for this preview of South Carolina versus Tennessee. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and we're going to be right back with another live